Everyone. So you might notice I have a fancy new microphone, which I'm pretty excited about. So my sound should be coming in super clear. And I love that because that's what we're all about is clear communication here. So the word today is fear. That's the word that we're going to be dissecting and understanding and getting a grasp of around fear in public speaking. And I am realizing that I speak a lot about public speaking fear and anxiety. I tell you what to do about it, I tell you how to handle it, but I never really talk about what it is and maybe why it's even helpful and beneficial for you to understand what public speaking fear is. And so when I say what it is, the definition, we don't have to go too detailed or scientific, but what you need to know is that fear is usually kind of considered to the layman a set of symptoms. So when we're scared during a public speaking event or speaking up or even sharing a story, even introducing ourselves, it's usually a set of symptoms that we're experiencing due to a trigger. So maybe the trigger is somebody hands you a microphone, or maybe somebody just looks at you and says, "Tell me a story," or "Tell me about yourself." And this can be very triggering for most of us, usually because we've had an experience in the past where it hasn't gone really well when that happened. That's what a trigger is. It's a almost a learned pattern. It's a blueprint in your body that says, when this happen happens, alarm bells ring and you go into a set of symptoms or you go into a specific pattern of behavior. So, the thing about fear to understand is that your trigger could be something that you see, a whole bunch of eyeballs looking at you, a boardroom, more than two people in front of you, a camera. Many people are triggered by a camera. It could also be something that you think. It could be, oh, everyone here is judging me, or this really counts. I'm asking for a promotion, so it's a really big deal. I shouldn't screw this up. Or it could be like a smell or a feeling. I mean, talk to me about it later, but when I smell smoke, I get triggered. And I think there needs to be an emergency response. So these can all be triggers. They can also, of course, work in tandem. So, as we all know, our reality is not single dimension, right? We have many layers going on at the same time. We have something that we see and smell and we think simultaneously. And the triggers are happening so quickly, the connections are being made so quickly that we can't really differentiate one from the other. So, really, all of those are happening. But I think it is helpful for you to identify what your triggers are, what triggers you. Is it seeing those eyeballs? Is it seeing that microphone? Is it being asked to step in front of a room? Is it somebody calling your name? So I would say right now, I want you to go ahead and think about and maybe even write down what are your triggers? What triggers you into the fear cycle? Jot a few of those things down because this type of self awareness is important. And I'm going to get to that in a minute. So, fear is a set of symptoms, right? Instigated by a trigger. You might be able to hear my kids in the background. Sorry. And the set of symptoms are as follows: sweat, shaking, shaky voice, constricted voice, sweaty palms, shaking legs, and maybe even an extreme situation, just immediately blanking out, like just your mental cognitive abilities, your ability to be present is gone. So you might not be able to think about a word, or you might, forget what you were saying, or, you memorized and prepared and practiced and you just draw a blank, or you literally have the experience where you, maybe not literally, but you go away. You mentally just go away. You might just black out and have no recollection as to how you got through that presentation or that special event. So, these are a series of symptoms that happen in our bodies somatically due to a trigger, something that is triggering us in the outside world or in our mind. something that we're thinking, something that we're telling ourselves. Biologically, we're going back. The trigger brings us back into survival mode. That's why that set of symptoms is happening. We're going back into our very biological, intuitive, instinctive behavior of protecting ourselves, fighting, running, or freezing. Just like an animal will freeze, will get ready to pounce, to fight, or just run as quickly as we can. So, this mechanism that's in all of our biology, all of our bodies, is bringing us back to a very, very like base survival level of our being, our nervous system. So, it is ultimately good. It is the thing that helped you to escape from the lion way back when our ancestors had to do something like that, right? It's also the thing that has kept you from ostracizing yourself, like making yourself stand out. And so you're the one who gets shot with a bow and arrow, or you're the one who gets ridiculed, right? We as human beings feel the need to be a part of a tribe, a group, and that has helped us in our survival as a species. And so when you try to separate yourself, make yourself stand apart, say something different, go against the grain, go against the dominant opinion, literally stand up while everyone else is sitting down, and all these other ways that we're putting focus on ourselves, just the act of putting focus on ourselves, saying, listen to me, look at me, opens us up to danger, opens us up to being vulnerable. And that's why our whole system fights against that and says, we're going to have this fight or flight response. We're going to go into the fear cycle because this opens us up to no longer being here, being alive. And so this is the whole system that really keeps us from speaking up and giving presentations, getting our ideas out there. And that ultimately, this reaction ultimately hurts us because, particularly in today's society, it's all about who has the loudest voice. It's all about the person who has the guts to speak up. It's all about drawing attention to yourself. And I do think we can do this in an authentic and humble way, but we do need to learn how to move through this reaction and create a platform for ourselves, create a way for other people to see us and create visibility for ourselves, give ourselves an identity, a brand, etc. So our communication coaching, the work that I do with you, is really focused predominantly on this. How do you move through this fear cycle in a variety of ways and in a variety of uh, moments in the fear cycle so that you can deliver your message, so that you can share your knowledge, so that you can bring value. So when we're coaching, I'm going to tell you that what we're doing predominantly is we're interrupting this fear cycle at various stages. So I'm going to go into those very quickly, and then we'll wrap up for today. The first stage we're going to be interrupting that fear cycle is preventatively, the preventative stage. So we can work on unpacking and unwinding this blueprint that you currently have for trigger and symptoms, right? So if you've had a bad experience in the past, standing up and giving a talk or standing up and sharing, that's already kind of programmed in you. You have that blueprint inside of you so that anytime you're handed a microphone now, that's where your body goes. So we can do this preventative work in one-on-one coaching where we erase that blueprint. We unwind it, we unpack it, we release the energy around it, and that work helps you to not react to that trigger anymore. The second stage at which we interrupt this fear cycle is when you're just starting to feel like the iceberg tip of the fear, or when you know you're going to be experiencing fear, such as preparing for an interview or getting ready to share a brown bag lunch talk, or going to a networking event where you know you're going to have to talk about yourself, what you do, and what you want from the other person. These are all situations that are high stakes situations that most people have to tackle at least once a week, if not once a month. And they know they're going to get scared. They know they're going to get anxious. And so they want something to do about it before preparing for it and during when they are experiencing some nerves so that they don't feel overwhelmed by the nervous energy and know how to still get the most benefit out of those situations and show up as their best selves. There's a third stage at which I help my clients to unravel this fear cycle. And that is, I say, when the wagon is already rolling down the mountain. Like when you are already in deep, you're panicked, you're feeling the extreme symptoms that come with the fear cycle, and you just need to know a way to manage. Now, I do teach these techniques because sometimes it takes a while to turn the boat. So I always recommend that you say yes to that next public speaking opportunity, knowing that you will feel nerves, you will feel anxiety, you will get some of these symptoms. But if you keep moving through the experience, keep breathing, and you just make one or two different choices, you just shift the boat just a little bit, you will get a better result. You will get a different result. You will feel more in control of your ship, right? Of the experience. That will give you the confidence and the courage that it can change. You can have a different experience. Each time you have a new one of these experiences, you just keep turning the ship until ultimately you're in control. You're in control of your public speaking events. You're in control of your fear and anxiety. You know what to do. That's my goal with my clients, is that they know what to do in each circumstance that they are having to deal with in their specific role on a day-to-day basis, or on a regular cadence. So I hope this conversation, and I hope this feels like a conversation to you, I hope this conversation about fear and anxiety, public speaking fear and anxiety, helps understanding what it is, why we have to deal with it, what you can do to work through it and move through it, um, and and ultimately, do something about it. So I'm going to give you one piece of homework that just popped into my mind, and that is bringing your self awareness to your triggers this week. So what that means is that, throughout your day, you just are going about your business. And when all of a sudden you notice just a little bit of fear creep in, I want you to pause right in that moment, take a deep breath, ask yourself, why am I feeling fear? What is the trigger? Where is the trigger? And write it down. Take a deep breath. Notice, what are the symptoms that I'm feeling because of this trigger? Write them down. Take a deep breath. Notice, what's your habitual behavior based on what you've done in the past? What do you want to do? What's your instinct in this moment? It could be getting out of that meeting, or declining answering the question, or speaking up. Notice. Take a deep breath. Ask yourself, can I make a different choice? Is there something else that's possible here? And if you can and you have the courage, make a different choice. This type of slowing down, this type of self awareness is the building blocks, is the building block of your confidence, your capacity, your capability in building a new relationship to communication and public speaking. We can't make any changes unless we slow down. We know what's happening. We have the knowledge, the understanding, and then we have the capacity to make a different choice. There's your homework. Hope this has been helpful. Let me know in the comments below what you like, what you think, and what you want to hear more of. Thanks so much for joining me today.